The MK party may have had a strong showing at the polls, but it seems the leadership battle is still on. Expelled leader Jabulani Khumalo is seeking reinstatement. He was expelled from the party earlier this year, and Khumalo also alleges that Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla forged his signature on a document sent to the IEC to create the impression that he was stepping down and Zuma would be his replacement. So let's speak now to Canny Maphanga, who's joining us in studio to discuss this further. Our reporter, of course, Canny. The letter seems to be also part of the arguments that Jabulani Khumalo has furnished before the courts. We've heard this before.
Yes.
And he also then says that, the former president's daughter should not have been the one to also even send communique in some of these emails that they're talking about. So let's talk about what else has he had to say around this particular letter.
Well, good afternoon to you, Bongiwa, and to the viewers at home. I think where we start is where we were, which is the electoral court. And in order for you to go to the electoral court to review a decision, you must actually establish that a decision was made by the IEC. So that is essentially the backdrop that we're dealing with. So the founder, the expelled founder of the MK party, is stating that he is the leader of the party and that nobody had the authorization in terms of Regulation 9 of the registration of political parties to amend the particulars. And it is his, or my understanding rather, that his argument is that deciding that the former president is the face of the MK party for the elections is not the same as resigning as a president. And then he submits that that letter was not his and it was not his intention to resign, and that that letter was allegedly fraud. And he fingers the former president's daughter behind that. So that essentially wraps up what he wants the court to do. He essentially wants them to reinstate him as the leader of the MK party.
So does he explain, though, why he waited this long? And I ask this because the IEC made an announcement in that briefing, and they also said who's going to be the party, the face of the party on the ballot. They also said who's the leader of the party. So one asks the question, did he then explain why he waited all this long? Because in the afternoon after that press conference, one would have expected him to speak out.
Absolutely. And he says that he only learned of the decision 2 days before the 9th of May, which is when he wrote that letter that we all saw to the IEC. And then the IEC responded saying that they don't get involved in internal political party matters. So that is his explanation rather to the court, that he only learned of it in May. He didn't know that there was a decision that had been authorized on his behalf to state that there was a new leader of the MK party. This is an issue that came up when they were discussing urgency. But I don't think we got a clear explanation as to what took so long from that change and then us seeing the founder of the MK party going out on public platforms, recognizing the former president as the president of the MK party, and then later changing to state that no, those particulars were amended without his authorization as the person who registered the party. So it's very difficult to understand what took so long to even bring this matter to the electoral court. But in any case, the MK party and the IEC are disputing that there is even a jurisdiction for the court to even hear that matter, stating that there's no decision to be reviewed. So when the IEC says this is the registered leader, they're acting on the instruction of the political party. They're not making a legally binding decision that needs to be challenged by a court. IEC takes instructions from those political parties. We're told Duduzile Zuma-Sambudla has the AOP, so she can communicate with the IEC on behalf of that political party. So from the IEC and the MK, it seemed that that was all above board, and that in fact the courts lacked jurisdiction to even hear that matter.
Quite an interesting case this is turning out to be. So what do we know then about what unfolds next? Where are we with the process?
So of course, elections have come and gone. This has no effect on the elections. This is essentially, if we are truly being honest, an internal political party battle. But let's say he is successful on the electoral court, and there's a scenario that does happen. This is a new party with interim structures. They haven't gone to a conference. They haven't adopted a constitution or any of that. So, I mean, you're sending someone back to a party where there's been a political fallout. And we know even from his exit from the court today that even if the court did reinstate him, would those interim structures even recognize him as a leader? And if they were to go to conference tomorrow, would they elect him? So it still presents a dilemma for Jabulani Khumalo. Even if he is successful in the electoral court, you actually still have to have these structures believe in you. And I don't believe that that is the case for the MK party. I think it has moved on. I think it's being led by the former President Jacob Zuma, and they've now had the success of becoming the third biggest political party in the country in the changing political landscape, the lead in KwaZulu-Natal, and the official opposition in Mpumalanga. So now we all are waiting to see what these final lists will look like, and of course, what KZN will look like, especially after those results were declared yesterday.
It's going to be an interesting one and quite the benefit for us as the SABC. When we always have you in these complicated cases, you're able to break down for us and the viewers as to what exactly does this all mean. Thank you so much, Canny. We appreciate your time. That was Canny Maphanga, the SABC News reporter.